Hello. So I have been tasked with making YaYa's Gumbo this year for Thanksgiving, and people always tell me I cook really well, you know, and stuff like that, and I do have my own way of doing things, my own recipes, but I've never written down any recipes. I've never done any how-to, so this is going to be my first one. I'm excited about it, and what I'm going to be doing is making a gumbo from scratch today, so no nothing. Everything's gonna be done from scratch, and I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm gonna pause the video for all the boring bits, but I'll give you all the important stuff. So the first thing I did was I got my sausage here. Okay, now this is not going to be a seafood gumbo. I'm cooking for a lot of people, so I'm just gonna keep it really simple. We're just gonna do sausage and chicken for the meats, but typically you want to do, you know, shrimp. You can add some crab legs to that. I also like doing not mussels. What are those things called? The white things, the round white things. I can't think of them right. Anyway, I'm not putting those in a gumbo today, so it's not a seafood gumbo. This is just chicken and sausage. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to bake the chicken and the sausage, because a lot of people boil. I don't like boiling because boiling takes a lot of the flavor out of the meat. So we're gonna put this in the oven. I have it at 350, and I'm going to bake these until they are well done. Hello. So I have been tasked this year with cooking YaYa's Gumbo for Thanksgiving, and I've often been told that I'm a really good cook. I have a sweet hand, as the Caribbeans say. I have a sweet hand, but I you know, I have my own recipes and everything, but I've never you know, written anything down, never done any videos. Now, YaYa is my grandmother. She was a really great cook. She cooked for rich families in New Orleans for many years, and she's passed on now. But she was a really great cook, and I love going to her house, and she would make these great big salads and pies and gumbo and just all this great stuff. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be making gumbo from scratch, okay? Nothing pre-made. Everything's going to be from scratch, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how I'm going to do this. Now, understand that I'm doing this for a number of people. I'm not sure how many, because of course people don't RSVP, right? So I'm kind of just going to eyeball it as far as how much I'm going to make. Also too, I want to say right away that typically my gumbos are much thicker, more like a stew than what you've probably seen. And the reason for that is because I don't like to cook with a lot of salt, okay? But my mom has requested that I make the gumbo like a soup, right? Because we're going to be feeding a lot of people, and so I'm going to be using a little more salt than what I usually use, but that's just a tip for you. So the more water you add, the more salt you have to add, okay? That's just the way it goes. If you don't want to use a lot of salt, then you want to use less water, and you'll have a thicker gumbo at the end. So anyway, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cook my meats. Now, this is not going to be a seafood gumbo. This is just going to be chicken and sausage. Typically in a gumbo you want to have maybe some shrimp, some crab, maybe some I can't think of the name, but little round white things. I don't know what to call them right now, but typically I put that in my gumbo as well. But today, again, because I'm feeding a lot of people, it's just going to be chicken and sausage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my chicken in the oven. I'm not going to season it. I have it at 350. And I'm going to let that cook for about 30-45 minutes until it's done. And then I'm going to be adding my garlic. See my garlic? I'm going to add this to the sausage. Okay, and the reason for that is because the sausage is already pretty much done and cooked. We're just going to be warming it, and so the garlic will kind of sizzle in with the sausage and become soft enough for us to mince. Okay, we're going to be mincing the garlic. I can't pause this thing. There's got to be a way to pause it. And so what I'm doing with the garlic is I'm just taking the peeling off. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just cutting the end off, okay? And I'm just gonna put it in the pan just like this with the sausage, okay? And I pulled 2 of these garlic cloves, I think they're called. I have 2 of these, and I'm going to put them in the pan with the sausage. Alright, so I have all the garlic done. Just want to see what it looks like. So you have the sausage in, and with the garlic. And I may need a little bit more sausage, but I'm going to just stick with what I have right now. Alright, and while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting up some of the other vegetables that I'm going to need today. One of those is onion, celery, and and tomatoes, and of course the okra. Just a quick note, gumbo is really an okra stew. It's from West Africa, and it's an okra stew. So the gumbo is really all about the okra. So I'm gonna definitely take some extra care with the preparation of the okra. I'm gonna wait to add it to the gumbo later along with the tomatoes, but right now we're gonna take care of the onion and the celery, and we're gonna make sure we mince that celery and onion up really good, because and bell pepper, green bell pepper. We're gonna make sure we mince it up really good, because what we don't want is to have little pieces of vegetable floating around in our gumbo. We want it to all blend together, so that when you take a spoonful of that gumbo, you're gonna get the flavor, okay, but not the taste of onion, celery, or bell pepper, okay? Alright, so I have my my celery, my onion, and my bell pepper, and right now I just have 1 bell pepper out. I may decide to add another, just depends on what it all looks like when I get it into the pot. And what I'm going to do is, once I get these all minced up really good and fine and small, I'm going to add them to a saucepan, and I'm going to cook them just a little bit. I don't want to brown them, okay? I just want to soften them so that when I put them into the gumbo, they are more pliable, okay? And then they go in and they blend much more easily. Alright, so I have the celery chopped up. I actually used about 3 stalks is what I used. And just kind of eyeballing it again, that looks like that's about enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this on the fire for just a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to brown it, just want to soften it just a bit, so that when I add it into the gumbo, it'll already be nice and soft and pliable, ready to release those flavors. The last thing you want to do is add fresh vegetables to your stock, only to have those vegetables still hard after you're done. So we want to make sure that they're soft, so when we put them in, they're already good to go. Alright. And if you're asking yourself, why don't I just use a food processor? Why don't I just use a chopper? Well, I do have one, but I thoroughly enjoy chopping vegetables. When I was a sous chef, my primary responsibility was to prepare the vegetables and the meats for the chef. You know, some had to be chopped, some had to be diced, some had to be minced, some had to be sliced. And for me, it's very meditative. You know, when I'm chopping vegetables, I'm completely focused and in tune with what I'm doing. And I feel the vegetable in my hands, and I see the knife going through the vegetables, and I love it. I enjoy it. And so that's the reason why you see me doing this by hand. Yes, it does take a bit longer, but I think it's more personal. And you know, like I said before, the Caribbeans have a saying. They call it a sweet hand, right? And what that means is simply that whatever you touch tastes sweet. It tastes good, you know. And in America, we have a saying, green thumb, right? So whatever you touch grows really well and really green. And so I believe that, you know, when you cook with your hands, you are leaving a bit of your essence in the food. And that essence is that love that people taste when they taste your food. And so I think it's really important, especially when you're preparing a meal for someone that you care about or someone that's special to you, that you leave a little bit of your essence, a little bit of your love in that food. Of course, wash your hands, but you definitely want to make sure that you are touching and caressing that food. It's not a bad workout either. There were days where my arm was just completely sore because I had chopped so many vegetables. And you just do this stuff for about an hour, just over and over again. And I'm actually listening for the sound that the onion makes when it's completely minced. It loses a lot of crispness, and what you hear is kind of a mush. That's how you know that the plant has released all its sterols. Fibers have been broken down and made soft. I used to see guys do that on TV, but you know what? That is a bad way to mince vegetables. You end up losing all your vegetables to the floor. Alright. Okay, so I'm done with the onion, and you can see there I only used about maybe 3/4 of an onion. And of course, this is yellow onion, sweet onion, okay? It's the only kind of onion to use for gumbo is yellow onion. And you see, it's pretty mushy, It's just begging to have some red tomato in it, right? Just begging for it. I mean, my goodness, look at that color. If I was making one of my my stews, then I would definitely want to add some orange carrot, some red tomato, some yellow squash maybe to this, and really make a flavorful base for my stew. Alright, so for the bell pepper, so just in case you've never seen this, I'm going to show you. This is how to open a bell pepper. You ready? Here we go. Love doing this. And grab, and uh-oh, so I'm messing up. I'm out of practice, y'all. Grab that, and that's it. And you bang out the rest of those seeds, and your bell pepper is ready. Right into the sink. See that? Alright, so I just got done with the bell pepper. And I just want to show you all the color in here. It's just, ugh. I'm going to do something about that. There we go. Look at this. That is so pretty. So pretty. And the smell is just, it is good, y'all. It is good. Alright, so we're going to put this on the fire for just a little bit. Like I say, we just want to make sure it gets real soft and ready for our gumbo. And then I think we'll be ready for our garlic and sausage. Please have pity on me. I have an electric stove. Every day I wake up, I walk in the kitchen, and I look, and the electric stove is still here, and I cry just a little bit. One of these days. But for right now, we work with what we have. So let's see how our garlic is doing. Oh, that looks good. Look at that sausage. And can you see that garlic in there? Hold on, let me grab another. Look at that. The garlic is browned. The sausage looks amazing. And another reason why we are making the meat first is because we're going to be taking the fat and the oils from the sausage as well as the chicken to use in our roux, in our stock. So what I'm going to do is now is I'm going to pick out the garlic, if I can do it without burning myself, and I'm basically just going to kind of mash it is all I'm going to do. I'm going to add that to the vegetables that I have on the stove now. Uh-oh. And I don't think I mentioned, but I only used about half of the green bell pepper. And I think that would be considered maybe a medium-sized bell pepper. So, not a lot of bell pepper needed. And the way that I'm kind of looking at this is that I used 6 drums, 6 legs for the chicken. So I figure, you know, 3 people, 2 legs apiece, right, is more than enough, I would say, as an entree once you include vegetables and everything. So the fact that I'm adding sausage to that, as well as the roux and the vegetables and everything, I'm thinking that 6 legs is going to be enough to probably feed about 6 people. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Again, once I get everything together, I'll have a better idea But you know, again, gumbo is not going to be necessarily the main course. It's just going to be the best course, right? So let's see if we can mash this garlic here. Oh yeah, that mashes real easy. And what we're doing is we're literally stripping the I guess is the fruit of the garlic out of the shell. That's what we're doing here. And you just kind of mash it and squeeze, and the garlic just oozes right out. See that? Yeah, that's not in focus. See, the garlic just oozes right out. And we're going to put that with the rest of our vegetables. And remember, the reason for doing this is because we want the flavor and not the taste of the garlic. So we only want the juices, not necessarily the plant material. This one is a little overcooked. Yeah. So this is what happens when I press down on it. I can just squeeze the garlic out like toothpaste. See that? Open it up here. Everything out. And this is good. So what the heat is doing is it's drawing out some of the water from the vegetables, and that's good. That's what we want to happen. We don't want to dry it out too much, but we want to dry out just a little bit. That lets us know that it's softening. So this is going to be, you know, low heat. We're not in a rush or anything. We still have to get the roux going before we can even think about adding these vegetables, so we have time. And I like to kind of mash it down a little bit, just kind of, there we go, get it nice and soft. Finish up this garlic, and when I get done, I think we'll be ready for the roux. So I want you to see this because I've gone from using the knife to just using my hand to just take this garlic piece here and just squeeze it right into the pot. You know, now my vegetables here have started to come to a sizzle, so I turned the fire off because, like I said, we don't want to brown them. I'm very careful that I don't want to brown them. So I've turned the fire off, and I'm just going to kind of stir these around a little bit, and I think they'll be done. And that garlic, it smells wonderful. I mean, it is just, is what you want out of your garlic. I think I'm out of garlic. My goodness. Well, I told you I used 2 garlic cloves, right? In retrospect, I think maybe 3, maybe even 4 would have been really good for this. But we're okay here. If I think I need more garlic later, honestly, what I'll do is I'll cheat and I'll just use a little bit of garlic powder, okay, just to season it. But I'll do that much later when I go through my my rounds of taste testing. I'll decide if I need more garlic. Alright, so I have the sausage done. The chicken is almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on the roux. And the roux is what makes the gumbo gumbo. Alright, so the trick to the roux is browning the flour. Alright, so what I'm using here is just regular, just all-purpose white flour. Okay, I'm going to put it in my skillet here. As far as the heat, I like to start it off medium and increase it as I need to. And I'm putting just enough in the skillet to cover the very bottom of the skillet. So if you're using a smaller skillet, then you may need to do this 2 or 3 times. You know, making 2 or 3 different batches of roux as necessary. Today, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I may need to do a second batch. I won't know until I actually get this browned and add it to my pot with water. Again, I'm not going to season anything right now. A lot of people do. They like to season the flour while they brown it, but I don't like doing that because, again, I want to minimize the amount of salt that I'm using in the dishes that I prepare. So what I'm going to do here is I have a whisk, okay? You can use a fork as well, and I'm just going to kind of move the flour around in the skillet, making sure not to burn the flour. That is very important. If you burn the flour, your gumbo will taste burnt. So you don't want to burn the flour, you want to brown the flour. So, you know, those movies or the TV shows where you see the mammy standing at the stove and she's constantly stirring, that's why, because you want to make sure that it is browning and not burning. Okay, so I'm going to kind of watch this and get this good and brown for you. Let me just show you what it looks like right now. See, just the very bottom of the skillet is what I have covered here. Okay, and again, I'm just going to brown this to give our gumbo that nice, great, deep, rich brown color. Okay. All right. So while I have the flour browning, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cut up my sausage in what I would like to call easily digestible bites. Okay. So people are going to be eating this with a spoon. So I want to make sure that the sausage can easily fit on a spoon. So something maybe a little smaller than that, okay, is what we want in our gumbo. All right, a little smaller than that. We don't want it to be, you know, little pieces of sausage in the gumbo. We want people to know that they are, you know, eating sausage. So something like that is good. That easily fits on a spoon, easily goes into someone's mouth, and they can chew it and swallow it. Okay, that's what we want right there. And I'll say this too, if you don't eat while you cook, I don't think you're a very good cook, just my opinion. Because I'm eating some of this sausage. This looks good. That's another reason why I don't add salt as I go, because the meat that you're putting into your dishes has its own salt and sodium and everything. Especially if you're doing like a seafood gumbo. Because usually the shrimp and the other seafoods, when you steam them and you boil them, you use seasoning, right? And so you definitely don't want to add too much salt. So this is going to be really good. Also, I didn't mention, but I just purchased just, you know, really cheap, honestly, Eckrich Farms sausage. In the past, I've used pecan smoked sausage, which is really good, especially for gumbos. But this time I just, you know, grabbed something cheap and easy. The one thing you don't want to do though is you don't want to use any heavily flavored sausages. You know, like I said, the pecan smoked is really about as far as I'll go when it comes to that kind of thing. You definitely don't want to do any Italian sausages, even though I know a lot of people like to use Italian sausages and things like that in their gumbos. I completely reject that idea. You don't want anything to overpower what really is the gumbo, which is the okra. Found another garlic here. Alright, so I've turned up the heat to medium high, and the flour is starting to brown just a bit, but we're not quite where we want it to be. I'll let you see. I don't know if you can see the difference in color, but it is starting to brown a little bit, but we need it to get darker than that. And we're not going to cheat by adding any seasonings to it to get it darker. Just a lot of heat and a lot of stirring. Alright, so when you buy the dry roux mix, oh crap, that's not good. Well, when you buy the dry roux mix from the store, you get it about that color, and it has all the dried seasonings and vegetables mixed into it already. So I'm going to get mine a little bit darker than that because, you know, I want to show out a little bit, right? Alright, may have to add more flour. Lost about a quarter cup. Well, it's not a quarter cup, and maybe a 1/16 of a cup. I think we'll be alright. Alright, so I got a fairly decent color. Not quite as brown as I am, but it's getting there. So I'm gonna let this brown a little bit more, and then we'll be ready to add the fat from the meats. Alright, so I got my flour as brown as I want it to be, so that's good. And also I poured all of the fat and oil from the sausage and the chicken into a glass so you can see how much I'm using. Now a lot of people use vegetable oil, and if you buy the wet roux mix from the store, that's what you're gonna get as well as the vegetable oil. I prefer to use the actual animal fat. It's much more flavorful, and as far as I'm concerned, better for you. So we're just going to pour this right into our flour here. Going to turn down the fire. And we're going to get all that wet oil mixed in. And if you have clumps, that just means that you poured your flour a little too fast. But that, I mean your oil a little too fast. But that's okay. You just kind of mash those down. I'm gonna grab a fork and really get rid of those balls, because when we add our water, we really don't want those balls. We want a nice, fine flour mix. this is what it looks like. That's after adding the oil. As you can see, it's gotten much darker, okay? And it's gonna give the flour some flavor. Yeah, that's good. And remember, we're not adding any seasoning or anything right now, but you can at this point add a little bit of flavoring if you want to, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna keep everything the way it is. The types of seasonings you would want to add right now would be something like you know, garlic powder, onion powder, celery powder. I've even seen dried pepper, paprika. All those things can be added right now to the dry mix, because what you're doing is you're adding seasoning to the dry mix to give you the flavor that you want your gumbo to have, okay? And what I like to do is I like to taste my flour mix as I'm going. So if I wanted to add any kind of seasonings, what I would do is I would add some seasonings, I would taste, add some seasonings and taste, and you want it to you know, you want it to taste good, so season it to taste. Another really good seasoning that you can use is coriander. I don't have any coriander, so I'm not going to use that today. But coriander is really good in gumbos. And that's something that has a very mild flavor that you could definitely add to a dry roux mix at this point. Alright, that's what we look like. So I still have some clumps in there. I'm going to hit this with a fork and really take those clumps out and get this fine again, okay? Alright, so I really kind of beat it good with a fork. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull out our gumbo pot. Alright, got our gumbo pot, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically add the flour mix to the pot. Then we're going to add water, and once we have the water in, we're going to add in our vegetables, the onions, the celery, the bell pepper. Trying to get all the oil I can. Also too, you know, you can use corn oil. My YaYa's, she's used butter in the past. I have too. But again, like I said, I'm really trying to cut down on the amount of sodium that goes into my dishes these days. So I don't use any butter. I just use the fats and oils from the meats that are going into the gumbo. And again, like I said, that gives it, you know, a really nice flavor. And helps kind of cut down on some of the salt, because, you know, it's not good for you, right? Alright, so again, I'm really just eyeballing this. I'm sorry, I don't have measurements for the amount of flour I'm using or water, but I'm going to just add this. And honestly, when it comes to the water, you really can kind of play around with it, because again, the more water you add, the more salt you'll need. So depending on, you know, how much meat is going into this, depending on how many vegetables you have going in, all depends on how much water you'll need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with adding just some water. I'm gonna fill up this pot to probably about here, okay? And then I'm gonna add in my vegetables, boil that down, and I may add some more water, see what that tastes like, and then I'll add my meats. Alright, so I have my flour mixture added to my water. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. Let me take the camera off. So that's about the color you want, okay? As you can see, the oil really doesn't mix well with the water, and that's okay because we're gonna boil down this water, and we're gonna add even more oils once our meat gets in. And the vegetables will soak up a lot of that oil as well. It's really important at this point, you want to make sure you stir it very well to kind of get it all together. I'm going to let the water not come to a boil, but I'm going to let it get fairly hot before I add my vegetables. The onion, the garlic, the celery, and the bell pepper. And again, very important, taste as you go. At this point, we don't have any seasoning, so but what we should have is the taste and flavor of a gravy almost. Not the consistency of a gravy, but the taste of gravy, okay? It should have kind of a meaty flavor, a rich flavor. And of course, the more oil you use, it deepens that flavor. But I'm happy with where I am now, especially since I haven't actually added any meat or anything to this. It tastes really good. I don't know if I would just, you know, gobble up a bowl of this right now, but it does taste good. I would definitely let me get some more. And I wanna show you guys what it looks like on a spoon. I don't know if I'll be able to, but you can see that again the flour and water and oil are all kind of separated right now. And again, that's kind of what you want at this point. The water again is gonna boil off some, and then once you add the vegetables and meat, it'll all start kind of coming together. Yeah, that's good. My goodness. I mean, you know, with no seasoning in this, it tastes good. It really does. Golly. That is good stuff. Alright, so I'm gonna let this get really hot before I add my vegetables. I'll be back. I just added the vegetables to the roux. And it smells beautiful. It smells real good. Now typically, if I was making this like really thick, I would have to stand here and stir and stir and stir. But because it's so much water, I don't really have to worry about that too much. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I can still see little chunks of looks like onion that didn't get minced up very well, but that's okay. The rest of it has really blended in well. So I want to see if I can show this to you. I don't know if you can see. Maybe not, but You can see tiny particles of green stuff in there. How can I do that? Like that? Kind of, sort of, maybe. Not really. Okay, well, it's there. It looks good. Yeah, that's good stuff. And so I'm not gonna wait because, like I said, I cooked the vegetables down just a bit, so they're already soft, so I'm good there. I'm gonna go ahead and add my meat. I'm going to keep the bone in the chicken right now because I definitely want the flavor from the bone in the gumbo, and I'll debone it later. So for right now, I'm just gonna throw that all in there. There we go. Stir that. Alright, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that cook for a little bit because I definitely want, that's not big enough. I'm going to let everything kind of cook together, and while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and get my okra ready. Now, the okra, I'm going to steam it, okay? I can be very particular about my okra, but I make sure that I get fresh okra. I make sure I steam it whole, and then I cut it, okay? And then I add it to my gumbo. All right. All right. So here's my fresh okra, or gumbo, the West African word for okra. And I'm gonna wash this really good, and then I'm going to steam it. And just a little tip, when purchasing okra, if you want to make sure it's fresh, all you have to do is grab the tip and break it. If it snaps like that, then you know you have fresh okra. If it bends, and it doesn't snap and break, then you have old okra. You don't want to use that for your gumbo. You want fresh okra. Alright, so we got the okra steaming. I got the meat and the vegetables cooking down in the roux. It looks really good so far. I definitely can't wait to add some color to this because it is just begging for color. Let me let you take a look at it. That it is just begging for color. So what I'll do is I will add my tomatoes right before I add the okra, because those tomatoes are very fragile. I don't want them overcooked. I still want them whole, and I want them intact when they go into the bowl. Also, I will debone my chicken before I add any more vegetables, and then once I have that done, then I can start to season. But it tastes good like it is, honestly, so I'm looking forward to it. Alright, so I'm gonna debone the chicken, and I'm gonna use some tongs to do this. Now you can do this, you know, before you add the chicken to the water. It's really just a personal preference of mine to debone it inside the pot. I don't know, it makes me feel closer to my dish, I guess. I'm not sure why I do it, but I really prefer doing it this way. So you can do this with a fork. I've done it with forks in the past, but what I'm doing now is just using 2 tongs, one to pick up the piece of chicken and the other to just kind of grab the meat off. And I can even scrape it a little bit. See? And I'm going to leave the bone in there for now. I'm going to take it out later, but for right now I'm going to leave it in there. Let me jack this up just a little bit. Uh-oh. I guess I have to turn this. Alright, there we go. Is that high enough? There we go. Alright. So you can really see what I'm doing. So, also too, let me say this. There's really no reason why I'm using chicken legs. I mean, you know, you can do this with thighs. For a healthier option, you can even do skinless chicken breasts. But I'm using legs because that's what was available at the store and it was cheap. And as you can see, I mean, this is easy work because this chicken is just falling right off the bone as soon as I pick it up. I mean, it is just there we go, there's one. So there's my chicken, and I'm just gonna grab this meat and the skin and just take it right off. Look at that. I mean, it's just falling off the bone. It's falling off the bone. I want all that. Give me that. Yeah. There we go. And I'm really kind of holding this up high for your benefit. Typically, I do all this stuff in the pot. But as you can see, it comes right off. It's easy work. Easy work. Cut that one up a little bit. This one, just take the skin right off. Take that big piece of meat there. Grab that. Ooh, look at that. That's good stuff. Now I know what you're saying. The chicken bones don't have a whole lot of flavor, not a lot of marrow, so what's the point in even doing this? Well, the way I see it is, you know, every little bit helps, right? So every little bit of flavor that I can get out of this bone, I'm gonna go ahead and use it. And so now that I have the chicken deboned, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn up this heat pretty high because I want everything to really come together. And doing that means that I'm gonna have to watch it just a little bit, but again, because I'm using so much water with this one, I don't have to really worry about it burning, so I don't have to stand here and stir the entire time. I can kind of walk away from it, but I definitely don't want to burn the gumbo at this point because then you'll be starting over, which I've done in the past, and that makes for a very sleepy Thanksgiving day, right? Be up all night cooking because you had to start over from scratch. Alright. So we have the chicken completely deboned. And I'm going to turn up my fire. And let me let you take a look at it. So this is what our gumbo looks like so far. It looks really watery because, again, like I said, I added more water than what I needed. A lot of this water is going to boil off. You can see the steam rising from the pot. So a lot of that water is going to boil off. And then once I add the okra, which is the real show here, is the okra. Once I add the okra and the tomatoes, it's really going to fill out this entire gumbo, and it won't look so watery. Plus the gumbo is going to really thicken this quite a bit. Those seeds in the gumbo provide almost a slime to the gumbo. It's going to really thicken it up quite a bit. Not to mention, again, we haven't added any dry seasoning to this at all. So this is where we're at right now. It tastes good and I'm happy with it so far, and I can't wait to get some more color in there and start seasoning it and tasting it, and looks good. So I wanted to show you what it looks like when you got the fire turned up on it, and some of the water starting to boil out, starting to really thicken up. You can see the sausage for sure, and some of the pieces of chicken floating around in there, and that's exactly what you want. And even though there's small hints of a little bit of onion, you can't see it at all, and that's exactly what you want. So you have that entire saucepan that we had full of vegetables is in this gumbo, but you can't see it, but the flavor is there, and that's what we want. Oh, and look at this beautiful okra. Let me clear the steam. Look at that. That is beautiful. And so I'm just waiting for the okra now, and I'm going to go ahead and cut up some tomatoes and get those ready, and we'll have ourselves an okra. I mean a gumbo. So what I'm using are just Roma tomatoes. I went ahead and pulled out 6 of them. I may not use all 6, but I'm gonna go ahead and wash these up and start dicing them. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not going to necessarily dice them. I'm going to chop them. Okay, so what we want is we want those nice long pieces of tomato, about that long. Okay, maybe about oh, I don't know, that wide, right? And we want those to really fill up that gumbo. We really want that tomato flavor in there. Alright, so I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing here. So I cut the end off, as you can see, okay? Then I sliced it in half right along I don't know the technical term for it, but right along the seed pod area, okay? Cut that in half. Then you cut it along the seed pod area again into quarters, right? And then you have an 1/8, okay? And then what we do with that 1/8 is we cut it in half. And so this is what you have, okay? And this is what we're going to put into our gumbo. And what's going to happen is with this is that as it cooks down, okay, a lot of the water and juice that is in this tomato right now is going to kind of disperse into the gumbo, and what you'll have left is really just the plant material, and that's primarily this area here and a little bit of tomato there, okay? A lot of the rest of this is going to go away, and that's what we want to have happen. You can really see it in this one. See this one? We have just that material there, and this is what's going to disperse into the gumbo. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I like using Roma tomatoes, just personal preference, but any type of tomato is fine. Actually, the East Texas beef eaters, when I can get those from the farmer's market, I really prefer using those for stews and gumbos. However, those aren't usually available around the time of year that I usually make my gumbos. But Roma tomatoes for me are the best as far as flavor and texture goes. Alright, so I've turned down my fire quite a bit, but I have all my tomatoes in. I ended up using 4 Roma tomatoes. And look at that color. You see the green, see the red. I don't know how much color is lost in this video. I think I was supposed to check the settings before I started recording, but it looks green on the screen, but I assure you it is brown. But yeah, I mean, you can still see some green in there, some brown, some reds. That's good stuff. Again, I truly believe that the key to healthy eating is eating different colors in every meal, as many different colors as possible. Okay, so it is automatic. So the camera is deciding what color to make this thing. Alright, so my okra is about done. Just gonna check on it here. And what I'm looking for is, you know, it's not easy, but you don't want it too soft, you don't want it too hard, and it looks like we may be on the too soft side, and that's okay. That's okay, because again, it's all gonna be in that gumbo together. It's all gonna come together, and a lot of that okra is gonna be broken up. But if you can, you definitely want it to still be firm, so that when you spoon the gumbo, you're getting a whole piece of okra on that spoon for you. But this is a little bit more soft than what I like. Let me see if I can show you one here. So as you can see, oh, you can't see because I'm not in front of them. Alright. So as you can see, it's pretty soft, but it's a nice green. Okay. So that's not bad. We're going to go ahead and we're going to chop these up, and we're going to put this into the gumbo, and then we'll be ready to season. Alright guys, I have overcooked the okra, so I'm not happy about that. The gumbo is definitely not going to have the texture that I want, but you know, my YaYa wouldn't be upset with me. She would just ask me, does it taste good? And I would say, yes, YaYa, it tastes good. And she would say, well, baby, that's all that matters, pumpkin. And so I can be happy with that. It will definitely taste good. But, you know, I can do better. I want to mention too right now at this point that this is the one benefit in every kitchen, every professional. The reason why you have recipes and you have directions is so that you don't have to do a lot of guesswork. You know, the okra goes in, it steams for, you know, 10 minutes, and that's it. After that, you take it out. You can check it, maybe it needs a minute longer or something like that, but you have those guidelines to go by so that you don't make mistakes like this. So that's my okra. Got a few more pieces in here that I didn't get. Alright, so this is gonna go right into the pot. hopefully no one notices. Well, they'll notice. Why is there pieces of okra in here? But that's okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and take my chicken bones out. I was actually supposed to do that before adding the okra, and I forgot. I'm going to go ahead and blame that on recording this. But I'm going to get the chicken bones out. I'm going to turn up the heat again, cook everything together, and then start seasoning. Bones are hard to come by. I have so much in here now. I remember I used 8 chicken legs, so I should have 8 bones. That's 3. I feel it, but I can't grab it. There we go. Uh-oh. Still got some meat hanging on. That's 4. That's 5. Alright. That's 6. Oh, I got 2 at the same time and I dropped it. That's 7. Come on, where you are? Where'd you go? I know you're in here somewhere. There you go. Alright. And there's 8. Alright, also too, I want to show you guys what the tomatoes are starting to look like. See that? That's about what we want, okay? So I'm going to turn my heat back up. I'm going to put the lid on. And I'm going to let this cook down for a little bit and come back to seasoning. This smells really good right now. Oh my goodness. Oh, I wish you was here to smell this. Oh my goodness. This is gumbo. This is gumbo. That's a beautiful thing. Let you see what I got going on here. So again, I'm letting this cook down. It's gonna really thicken up, especially with the okra. See the consistency? Usually what I like to do is when I'm looking at my gumbo, I want to see every ingredient in every spoonful. That's how you know you have the correct ratio. And to be very honest with you, this one is not perfect because I'm picking up some of everything, but in a couple of spoonfuls, the first 2 anyway, I was missing some tomato. See, I'm missing tomato there. So it's not perfect. I got tomato in that one. No sausage in that one. So it's not bad. Alright, so I just turned the fire down, and I'm tasting this stuff, and it tastes really good. I don't even think I'm going to need any more garlic. It's not bad. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some salt. Now you won't believe this, but I did not buy salt from the store on yesterday. So I don't have a lot of salt. I have, yeah. All I have is this. That's it. Let me see what I have in here. Ah, there we go. Alright, so nothing fancy, just iodized salt. And remember, there's a lot of water in here, so I'm going to be fairly liberal with the salt. And of course, I'm going to stir and taste and check as I go, because you definitely do not want to over salt it. I have done that before, and the way to fix it is just to add more water and more dry flour mix. So that, you know, that's taking some time because you have to brown the flour again, you know, and all that stuff, but that's the way to fix it. Oh my goodness, that is that's good. Okay, so that, woo, that's just about the right amount of salt. I'm gonna put a little bit more in. That is good. My goodness. And what I'm doing here is I'm tasting just the roux. I'm being careful not to grab any vegetables, not to grab any meat. I'm tasting just the roux. Of course, the meat, the sausage anyway, definitely has its own salt content. But a lot of that honestly has been boiled out of it. So the roux is what holds all the flavor right now. So that's what I'm tasting right now. It's just the roux. Because if my roux tastes good, then my gumbo tastes good. My goodness. Woo! That's good stuff, man. And that's good. Okay. I'm gonna hit this with just a little bit more salt. I gotta be really careful right here not to overdo it. Again, I'm sorry, I don't have measurements. I'm really eyeballing this and doing it by taste. In my opinion, that's the best way to go, just because all of the ingredients that you have in the gumbo kind of bring their own sodium content, and so there is no such thing as, oh, well, put in a teaspoon and that's fine, right? No, it doesn't work that way. So you really have to salt it to taste. So I'm just gonna hit this just one more good time. Again, being careful not to over salt. I much rather under salt than over salt, because salt can always be added to the actual bowl of gumbo itself. Oh, look at this, I got another bone. So now I'm curious, did I do 8 or did I do 10? No, I did an even number. Let's see. I don't feel any more bones. I think we're okay. Alright, so let's taste this. See where we are. It should be just perfect. Let me get that okra out of there. Oh. See, it's hard not to grab it's hard not to grab ingredients just with this little spoon. Even this one has a little sliver of chicken in it. Yeah, that's perfect. That is perfect. Right now, the flavor is salted enough where it has great flavor, it tastes really good, and you feel as though you can add a little more salt. You know, that's where you want to be, because we have some other things that we need to add to this, that are going to kind of boost all those flavors. And again, we want to try to be health conscious. We don't want a lot of salt in there, right? So the very first ingredient that I'm going to add, the dry seasoning anyway, is paprika. The reason why is because paprika is going to give my gumbo the color that I want, as well as a nice smoky flavor. It's really hard to over season with paprika, so you can be very liberal with adding paprika to the gumbo to give it the color that you want, okay? And honestly, right now, the color, let me let you take a look at it. The color is fine for me. I do like it a little bit darker. Just, you know, my personal preference. So adding the paprika is gonna darken that quite a bit. Okay, all right. There we go. All right, so again, I'm going to be fairly liberal with this paprika because I definitely want to darken this gumbo. And I like the smoky flavor. You can get that smell as soon as it hits the hot water. It is really all right. That's good stuff. That is good stuff. Now at this point, you really want to be very careful with your fire because the okra has thickened the gumbo. A lot of the water has boiled out, and so it is very easy for this thing to burn. And the last thing you want to do is burn the gumbo. I mean, burnt gumbo is a horrible, horrible thing. I mean, it's edible, but you don't really want to eat it. You definitely don't want to present it. Again, I've learned from experience, you know, you burn gumbo, best thing to do is throw it out, start again. It really is. So I've almost emptied out my container of paprika here, but the color is beautiful. Let me taste. Oh yeah, yeah, we're getting there. My goodness, this is good. Yeah, that is good. Good. I gotta be careful. I'm overeating this stuff. Oh man, that's good stuff. And it's not even because it's mine. It's good, man. It is really good. So I'll let you take a look at the color that I have right now. All right, see that? It's a brown. It's a nice, rich, reddish brown, and that's really where I want my gumbo to look. It's gonna look really pretty when you pour it over the steamed rice. That's good stuff. And that's something else to remember too when you're adding salt to this dish, is that this is going to be served over steamed rice, and so you definitely want it to have a lot of flavor because the rice is going to take on that flavor. Alright, so we have the paprika in. The next thing that I'm going to add to this is the cayenne pepper, or the yard peppers, what my Yaya called it, yard pepper. And that's because in New Orleans, everyone has a bush in their front yard that they grow peppers on. And when you're cooking, you go out to the front yard or backyard and you grab some peppers off, and that's what you use to cook. I don't have those, and I didn't even, you know, I didn't even want to buy the fresh ones, honestly. I just use cayenne pepper here, just out the bottle. Let me connect this charger. Now, in my opinion, cayenne pepper is necessary. It is part of the gumbo. You have to have cayenne pepper in this thing to really give it the flavor that it needs to have. However, depending on who I'm cooking for, depends on how much of this stuff I add to the gumbo, right? So I'm cooking primarily for family. I think there's going to be a few guests there, but not very many. So I'm not going to be so careful with the cayenne pepper. I'm going to be fairly liberal with it because me and my family, we like spicy food, right? So let's just throw this all in here. And it looks like after this, I'm going to have to go to the store for more paprika and more cayenne pepper. Yeah, we're just going to empty all that in there. There we go. Alright. So again, no measurements. Add to taste. Okay. Again, I'm being fairly liberal with it because I'm cooking for family. And we are not shy about spice. So I'm going to add quite a bit in here. And my goodness, this thing is even getting hard to stir. This is a workout. This is a thick gumbo. So at this point right now, if I really wanted to, I could really get away with just adding just some tap water to this, and actually stretching the gumbo out because it is so thick. But I don't really think that'll be a need. Let's taste this with the cayenne pepper. Well, that's good. And you know what? That's honestly not even enough cayenne pepper for me and my family. But it's just enough that it gives it that little just in the back of your throat when you swallow. You know, it just lets you know that you've got some pepper in there. You know, that's what you're looking for. That's what you need. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to add to this, and again, this is just my preference. Let's see if I have any. Oh, that's right. We did talk about this. I don't have any coriander. Coriander is a very nice spice that I like to add to my gumbos, but I do not have any available. What I do have is some thyme. Nah. We're gonna skip that. So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add the bay leaves. I really don't need to cook this gumbo any further. The paprika, the cayenne pepper, the salt, all that stuff has been fairly incorporated into this. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to sit this in the refrigerator overnight, and all those seasonings and all that oil and fat is going to come together in the middle of that dish, and it's going to be like a flavor bomb in the middle of that thing. And so when we warm it up and we stir it up tomorrow morning, it's going to just go bah into the entire dish. Now, one of the few things that's really important about this is bay leaves. Okay, bay leaves. Now, personally, I've never ever had a fresh bay leaf. I've always used just the dried bay leaves that you can get from the grocery store. But honestly, I would love to have some fresh bay leaves to go into this, because I'm certain that a fresh bay leaf is going to give it just that much more flavor. But this is really important. The bay leaf goes in, okay, after you're done cooking. Okay, so I've turned my fire off, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a generous helping of bay leaves to this. Okay, now depending on you know how much gumbo you have, depends on how much bay leaf you want to put in, but I'm going to put in about that much. Okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to put in a little bit more actually. Yeah, put in some more. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we stir this in really good. I want to make sure that those bay leaves are in the center of this dish. Oh, they're so sweet. You can smell it as soon as it hits the water. Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, for me, bay leaf smells like New Orleans. I don't know. For me, it does. You know, it's like after a good rain, you walk outside and the smell of the dirt and the water and all that kind of stuff kind of hits you, that's a bay leaf for me. That's New Orleans. That's a beautiful, beautiful smell. I love it. And so I'm gonna make sure I got all these bay leaves just in the middle of this dish, and I'm gonna put the top on it. I'm gonna let this cool all the way down. Okay, it's gonna cool all the way down, and then I'm gonna pour it all into a bowl. And I'm gonna cover it up really good. I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. It's gonna sit there overnight, and then tomorrow when we pull it out, we're going to serve it, and we're going to make sure that we have where is it at? I know it's in here somewhere. Never leave home without it. Here we go. Gumbo filet. All right. This is sassafras. Okay. This is what you finish the dish with. Okay. This gets sprinkled onto the individual bowl of gumbo. All right. And this is just a wonderful, earthy. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a really earthy flavor and smell, and it actually helps thicken the gumbo as well. Okay.
Hey, Raul.
Hey, Mama, listen. Am I doing the rice, or are you taking care of the rice?
I'm taking care of the rice. You remember you say you don't mind me doing brown rice.
Okay, because I was gonna say I bought some brown rice yesterday, but okay.
Oh, really? Yeah. I started cooking it today, so I cooked 3 cups today, and I'll cook 3 cups tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
All right, then, babe.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that's the one thing that we didn't talk about today was the rice. And again, that's something that's very integral to this whole thing. The rice has to be done properly, and my mom does not trust me making the rice, so she's taking over that responsibility. All right, and this is the gumbo plated, and you see the gumbo filet right on top there. Sprinkled a little bit in there for you. So as you can see, it's soupy, just like Mom wanted it, and I think YaYa will be proud. The okra is a little overcooked, and I needed just a little bit more tomato, but I'm happy with it.